Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us today. We move on to our next webinar, which is on the reform of luxury travel and hospitality during the current COVID 19 crisis. And moderating the panel here today is Michael Ross, the CEO of Bidroom. Welcome, Michael. Thank you for joining us on Reconnect. Over to you now.
Thank you, Shivani. Happy to be here and a great panel on what we have today. I wish everybody in the world who's watching, many from you from India. First of all, happy afternoon. I started this whole journey because of my passion for hospitality and travel, and it's sad to see for me if you see what is happening now in the industry. It's heavily affected, and I hope things will go soon much better. It's going to be different for sure. Let's see how. Today I have in this webinar 4 amazing people. They're all active in luxury. Today we speak about the reform of luxury, travel, and hospitality during a crisis. I want to talk about the current situation, but I also want to look in front of us. Today we've got 4 professionals, starting with Delna Yasamoni. She's Associate Vice President for the Indian Hotels Company Limited. We've got Alexander Suski. He's working for Millennium Hotels, where he is the Sales and Marketing Vice President for Middle East and Africa. We've got Akansha. She's Director of Luxpro Hotels and Resorts. And we have Vivek Braganza. He's Assistant Vice President of the Shangri-La Group. Again, I hope you're enjoying this webinar. And so let's start. The first question is for you, Vivek. Just before the COVID-19 crisis hit, how was the luxury travel and hospitality sector faring?
Thank you, Michael, and for the warm welcome. And great to be here at Reconnect 2020. I think when you asked the question about the luxury travel before the crisis hit, we were certainly on the upswing. We could see growth coming in from India, from a lot of emerging markets around the world. While we continue to see growth, of course, in the more established markets, like the USA or like in the Far East, we could see that coming in out of Singapore or even out of Australia in Oceania. Speaking from the Indian context, we've seen luxury grow pretty much because we've seen the entry of the large players in this market as well. So most hotels also have their own luxury program which operates in India. And we also see, of course, the large consortia who are fairly active in this space. So yes, as looking back into history and thinking about pre-COVID, we saw luxury growing pretty well in India. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you, Vivek. And Delna, for you as well, I've got the question related to your hospitality experience. You see that it will be difficult to recover. You think it will be different than other areas in travel? So you think it will be different in hospitality compared with other areas, maybe domestic, maybe talking about tourist activities or other areas? Or you think hospitality can react or recover quicker?
Thank you, Michael. So yeah, coming from a hospitality perspective and especially from a luxury hospitality perspective, which is what this discussion is about, I think that while this situation may have changed the way that we work and interact at the moment, I don't think it'll change who we are or what we as people want in life. I think that this time has just given people a lot of time to reflect and value things like authenticity, meaningful values more than ever before. And I think after months of isolation and anxiety, people around the world do want to get out and they do want to travel. And I think one of the key aspects of how perhaps hospitality will change going forward, even though there was a certain element of that earlier, I think because today people are looking for, the number one priority of anyone is, of course, a safe and sanitized environment. And I think that brands that people trust and that people look up to and brands that are built on sustained trust are actually going to be what is going to reassure customers going forward. So, for a company like ours, the Tata Group, which right from 1868, where our motto is leadership with trust, I think those values are going to ensure that, it sees us through in the times to come. So to answer your question, yes, there is definitely going to be a change in travel patterns. But we are also seeing even currently people are ready to go out and travel, even though there may be certain restrictions, of course, internationally. But we definitely do see travel coming back, and revenge tourism, I think, is already on the upswing in quite a few parts of India, at least.
Well, I'm really curious, and to react on this, I'm really curious what will be the difference, right? If you see a difference in recovery, in luxury, do you see new trends coming? Do you see new concepts? And I see a lot of new things coming all the time, different concepts. And if you look at the trends of recovery, yeah, they're of course going to be different if you're located in a city center, near the seaside, a smaller hotel, bigger hotel. Might be in your luxury hotel, we see a difference in maybe in suites compared with normal room. For sure, there will be differences.
Right.
I think, yeah.
I think that you're absolutely right, Michael. It is very different across cities and across different regions. I mean, people are today looking at, of course, a lot of more secluded holidays, places that are sometimes more difficult to get to. So in the past, whereas people may have thought a lot more venturing into certain areas, today they're a lot more keen to do so. And I think for IHCL, I mean, speaking from a perspective of IHCL, of course, with our expansive footprint and our diverse brands, I think, we're pretty much well poised to cater to those markets, whether they be Goa, Kerala, the safari lodges in, the heart of Madhya Pradesh, or our authentic grand palaces all across Rajasthan. I mean, and as I was saying, because people are looking for more secluded kind of private havens, we can cater to that with our new brand of Ama, which is our homestays and private heritage bungalows. I think one of the other aspects that people are also very keen to explore now more than ever before is sustainable tourism, volunteerism as well. So again, catering to all these different requirements and needs right now, I think that's the need of the hour at the moment. So any kind of hospitality company that adapts to this kind of change and understands what their customers are looking for, I think that's what's going to benefit. So today, obviously, people are a little more wary about taking a flight. So what we realized, of course, is that driving holidays, especially within India, and the same for any other country across the world, because local and regional tourism is something that's going to rebound much faster than international. And obviously, local and regional means more driving holidays. So we launched our 4D, which is our Dream, Drive, Discover, Delight holiday packages, and they're, I mean, doing pretty well ever since we launched them a while ago. So yes, we are seeing a few green shoots already starting.
Well, it's interesting what you said, especially you mentioned the homestays. I saw recently something, what I really like is like mountain homestays. So indeed, in a remote village, you're just staying within a family or a different experience. So yeah, for example, like mountain homestay, what is the, it's a different experience and etc. So I think those things are really nice to see as well. There's a different trend coming, different kind of accommodation. Maybe now to just deep dive a bit in the trends, and I would like to continue with Alexander. If you see the trend, we just mentioned like homestays, for example, or like a different kind of experience. What do you think that the trends will be in hospitality, and not only in the luxury segment, but in the general, like the general trends? If you can address this. Alexander, you muted.
3 months ago, everybody wanted to be as disruptive and innovative as possible. So I think in May, we saw people claiming that AI and all the digital will take over everything which is hospitality, and there's no more check-in and there's no more reception. And I think we went a little bit too far in that. So the new trends is just that there's a couple of things that might impact the experiences of the guests. If it's now from a key card, a keyless card entry into a room, but we're not going to robots cooking your eggs or cleaning your rooms yet. So the trends are, there's a little shift, there's some innovation, bright ideas from people all around in different aspects and departments. But the shift is is still moderate, yeah, or the disruptive innovation is still moderate. So with regards to the trends in luxury, my key point is here, what will happen to staff with people who are in hotels. If somebody checks into a ultra luxury hotel, will he be welcomed by 10, 12, or only 3 valets? Yeah, and when he goes through the door, how many people will be welcoming him? Yeah, so this is where the luxury right now is trying to establish and put a mark on how far do you extend the cost management in hospitality in general. Do we go to 3 people at the front office, at the reception desk? Do we go to still 12 people? So this is where we will see how different brands and different operators will deal with what's happening right now.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned disruption, you mentioned innovation, and I think personally, I think we as a company has been really daily busy with disrupting the market, the OTA market. You see the landscape of distribution is changing. You see new business models coming. You see, for example, Citizen M. They started with a subscription service, the same like we do. I saw IHG has something similar. So you see also a lot of innovation, innovative business models also coming back more and more. Also give, of course, maybe more security if you're looking at recurring income, etc. So I think you can see, I heard some airlines also concerning, can we include like a paid subscription to have recurring income, to give extra loyalty, extra benefits. Go back to the landscape of bookings, actually. I think now you see a lot of discussions also about the OTAs, about Booking Expedia, also the behavior actually the last month. So I think personally there will be a shift how things are going, how people book.
There's a shift and an adjustment, Michael, but there's no disruptiveness as of yet, or as we expected. Maybe that will come a little bit later. But of course, we all are excited about disruptive innovations when Airbnb came in. Mm-hmm. So until now, there has been innovations, smart ideas, adaptations to the current situation. But disruptive, I would not call it yet disruptive. Mm-hmm. Let's see what the future brings.
Okay. I don't want to promote Bitcoin too much, but we are actually disrupting the market by different business model. Don't charge high commission, etc. So yeah, we're disrupting the market already, but we can discuss this after this webinar. Yeah, but if I look at the distribution landscape, this is something, of course, as a booking platform, I'm followed daily to see what is happening in the trends. And I mentioned discussions which are out there. Often you see a good example. You mentioned Airbnb. They started in 2008. Actually, they started in a crisis, and they disrupt the market by offering it and doing it differently. And personally, I believe this could be the moment that the hotel, they stand up, okay, it's enough. We paid so much commission. We lost the control of it to our partners, to the OTAs. They actually, we was a bit difficult for us to build a loyalty program and to do things by ourselves because they were controlling your price and they were controlling your guest. Akansha, you think the distribution would change, the landscape of distribution?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Honestly, the landscape of distribution will change for the time being because, right now it's a pandemic, the situation in the market is different. I think the biggest question is that people don't know what is open and what is closed, what the offers are. Are the hotels safe, secure? I think that's the biggest question in the mind. Like Della was mentioning, in India, we've started having regional tourists. People want to drive and go for a distance for up to 8 hours, and they really want to know what's open. So if one way, of course, to the brand, like you are, say, for example, I would say for Waxful Hotels, we opened on the 15th, and we've already had guests sanitization protocols. So they are coming directly. But for people who don't know about us, who have not been to the wilderness, we are a luxury wildlife resort. It's a little offbeat, it's a little out there, it's not a city hotel. The model for luxury differs here because our cottages are naturally distanced so that, the contact between people is less. So for people who don't know about us, I would say booking.com, in India, Make My Trip, Go Vivo is very popular. It helps people know that you are open and what are you offering. Also for the OTAs, they have come up with a scheme where they're actually certifying you. And if you are being responsible, if you have certain protocols in place. So also the guests can know, okay, these guys have got certified. So they have a two form of certification. One is you do a self-certification, which is like no charge, and one is where they're actually the OTAs are sending people to your property to check it out and say, fine, these guys are following the protocol. So once you are in that image in the OTA, what happens is people can easily differentiate, okay, these are the guys who are doing the tick marks and these are the guys who are the crosses. Similarly with big brands, I think in the luxury, the biggest USP is we already have basic standards which have sanitization in place. It's a part of a day to day. And like Alex mentioned, the biggest question today now is, do we have 12 or do we have 3? So that's something we as companies have to see going forward. What kind of flow of business are you getting? Can we do a bit of a rotation? Can we do a time lag? So that guests also feel safer today, seeing less people around. So maybe luxury can be discreet, and that can be the way forward. And in terms of loyalty programs, I think everybody is milling on them right now. I think that's the best thing going forward. You're getting great deals from hotels, you're getting great deals from airlines, you're getting extra points. And yeah, people are getting the situation, what was there in March, April, May, where people were worried about what Corona is. Now people are just cooped, everybody is just cooped up staying in house. They want to go to the great outdoors. They want to go and do adventure activities. So if you're coming and telling me, okay, you have a private ship they want to rent, yes, that's happening. If you want to, people are actually booking small boutique properties, which are for 20, 21 rooms, even if they are like 7 rooms booked, because they just feel safe not having anyone around. And staycations, vacations, these different concepts and packages for long stays are really attracting people to just get out of the house, because sorry, if you look at India, the main model is that people are staying inside the house in small flats. So yes, I think great properties like Taj has the palaces and our safari lodges. It's great time for business for us.
Well, I think what you mentioned is about like loyalty and innovation. I think it's crucial for survival, right, and for recovery. And you see, what is impressive to see that you see companies who are in travel. I saw a company called TripLoop. They actually are focusing on travelers, actually on group travel. So people travel together, they use an app and they can communicate. But there's no group travel now. So what they did, actually, they offered also to survive, actually virtual experiences. So you could explore a country, for example, Japan, and you go all together to Japan completely virtually. You're meeting the people all online. So you can see what I really see is like, as mentioned, TripLoop, they just move actually into virtual experiences. And of course, they hope that everything comes back. But to survive and to be visible, they just moved, actually use the part of their current technology actually to innovate. And it's impressive to see that companies like startups, for example, like they're doing those kind of things. I mentioned innovation. I think it's super important, especially in a period like this. And loyalty, you mentioned as well. Loyalty is the one who can drive recovery. You can drive people back to your place because they know you. They're just loyal to your brand. They just stayed there last years, and they want you actually to come back stronger. I think loyalty. I think Shangri-La is great in loyalty, personally, and of course in image building. If I think about a luxury brand, of course the other ones as well, but Shangri-La has for me a specific image, and also, of course, when you think about loyalty and branding, etc. A feedback question from you: if we're thinking about loyalty and innovation, how do you think this will be coming back? Actually, how are you going to use those two things for the recovery?
Is it for me or Vivek?
For feedback. You can comment on it after.
Loyalty, I think, of course, it's always been important, and it will continue to be important. I think what's happening is, we talked a little bit. I think Alexander talked about disruption, and this is something the industry has been facing for some time, and we've all been dealing with it. Sometimes we're the disruptors, and sometimes we're the disruptees, so to speak. But I think the reality is we're now facing the ultimate disruptor, which is COVID-19, and we really have had to all go back to our roots. Have to really look at what makes our company tick. So what really is is our strength in the markets that we operate in. Because the reality is all of us have got a leaner, tighter version of ourselves that we need to face the world with in the coming months or years to as well. So from that reality, I think loyalty really means a recognition of what makes our organization tick. And in the case of Shangri-La, I would say it's really been about doing business that comes straight from the heart. We've always talked about welcoming a guest where we welcome a stranger like one of our own, right? So the reality for us is to be able to engender that into our systems, into our process. I remember a boss of mine who once shared, when I asked him, in your perspective, what is luxury? And he said, it's just three things. It's really, really simple. One is you set impossibly high standards. The second is you put your processes in place to achieve them. And the third is you do everything you can night and day to get those standards done. And the reality has not changed. That reality has not changed. It's just that, yes, of course, we are facing that ultimate disruptor. And how we deal with that is what's really going to separate, I guess, the wheat from the chaff in the months to come. So as an organization, we have gone back to look at what makes us strong. We have looked at our safety, our hygiene practices. We've looked at how that impacts our guests. But I think at this point, the biggest opportunity that we have is really to bring forward that warmth that hotels are known for and that luxury hotels are known for, to be able to leverage that in the guest experience. Because the few guests that we do have at this point in time should be feeling really, really special. And that is an opportunity in itself. Thank you, Michael.
No, fully agree. And also I got some questions from the audience, actually, so just receive them in here. And actually, it's actually also regarding this topic. What kind of key innovation hotels can actually adopt so the tourist feels free, feels actually safe after or during COVID, actually. So Alexander, maybe a question for you. What do you think, what kind of key innovations hotels can now implement to actually give a safe feeling for the guest? You're muted again.
No, apologies. Yeah, sorry. So it's not rocket science. It's giving the feeling of safety to somebody checking into your hotel, right? So if that's the case, the keyless card, not having to have too much transactions with paper and pencils, it's one. Then getting into the room, where when you get into the room, you have a seal of trust, or a seal of confirmation that your room has been cleaned properly, and at the places that it should have been cleaned. Yeah, there's so many videos already of different brands and different hotels worldwide where mystery shopping has been done, and they currently, of course, with social media, it goes viral in current time. So it's giving the feeling that a hotel is safe. Yeah, and however you do it, if it's now with an app showcasing you that the lamp and the pillow and the cabinet and the table was cleaned an hour ago, or if it's now with a seal that tick boxes all those items, I think that's something we didn't do before. We just trusted operators and hotels to do it. When I would check in a hotel, I would think it was cleaned properly. Now I will think 2 to 3 times, and I want to have an assurance that it's done properly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think the operational side of that aspect is crucial, and giving that security to the people. So again, is it disruptive? No, it's just adapting to the current situation, which is giving that trust. Of course, big international hotel chains and companies and operators are leading the way. They have more resources to do so. So it will take a little bit more time. It's the same with Millennium. Then, as a global company, there's a lot of guidelines and things that are done very fast in order to make sure that we're ready the moment tourism goes back to 100%.
But do you think it would change? Because yes, you mentioned the things you're implementing actually for safety, etc. Of course, now it's everybody who's traveling thinking about it. Do you think it would change? That we would just go back now, the extra cleaning or the extra safety regulations, you think it will disappear?
Well, at this stage, it will not disappear. It will remain for at least 2 to 3 years, I guess, yeah, until something new pops up, God forbid. But a bed and a mattress is a bed and a mattress. So we cannot let people hang on a pole and sleep like bats tomorrow in a hotel room. So at the end, it is what it is. Yeah, the shower will remain the shower. The bathroom is the bathroom. So at the end, for hospitality and hotels and travel, it is what it is. Then again, adding up experiences like it was mentioned before is kind of a new way forward where people want to do something different than just going into maybe a city hotel. They might indeed go hiking now. Yeah. I never expected myself to go cycling ever, but due to COVID, I started cycling. Yeah. So is that disruptive? In my life, it was very disruptive. Yeah. So I guess it depends how and what.
Okay. Well, it's interesting if I think about the hotel, long queues, for example, in the breakfast, you're sharing like a kind of like you're standing there with many people. Akansha, you think that will change? Like how people, for example, having a breakfast, people goes more, for example, like separation or room service
Absolutely.
or because I think
absolutely. If you look at absolutely, if you look at Dubai as a destination, the destination has done extremely well currently and is ready for the next phase. But in Dubai, things are quite open. So there are brunches, there are restaurants opens, there are everything is alive, but it's just done differently. So instead of if I go to an Asian night in one of the restaurants of our hotels, it used to be a full buffet. Now it is served in little bowls and plates per course of the dinner, yeah, and it's served in front of you. So you have that feeling of security and safety. Is it a false sense of security and safety? No, it's just being more cautious. So both in F&B and food and beverage and hotels, it's quite similar because what you're just mentioning on the booking.coms and the Expedias and the hotels.com and what you're doing right now, the same is happening on the food and beverage landscape. Yeah, there's a couple of players who take a lot of have taken a lot of well, let's call it commission, and then from the food and beverage department, there's other disruptors coming in now and doing similar things. Yeah, yeah.
But Akasha, for example, how is how responding on this, and how you implementing this as well in your hotel group?
Yeah, so what we've done is, I completely agree with Alexander, the table service is the way forward. But when you have large numbers, hopefully soon, when the restaurant starts going full, we, from the Adventure Tour Operators Association of India and the Responsible Tourism Society of India, we devised a plan, how to go forward with numbers increasing. So we came up like in case if the buffet still has to operate and the guests are going, it's completely contactless, the plates are kept on the table, they have to wear a mask, and the servers serve the food and ensure that the lid is closed after each serving. That's the way buffets can work. Because then, you're not having that much contact. But when you're having small numbers, yes, table service is the way forward completely. Also, it makes me feel more safe and secure. But thinking about responsibility and sustainability, which is the new thing in our tourism planet where everybody's thinking eco-friendly, you do have a lot of food wastage on table service as well. So maybe this will go on for a while till people start feeling more confident and sure about safety protocols. Like if you see a couple of months back, you were not even stepping out. You were not leaving your door, but now you are going out cycling, you're going out walking, you're going and picking up a takeaway coffee, you're going to restaurants. So as long as the distances are maintained, I think it's going to be back up. We should be good back up and running by January, February. Yeah.
I was also curious, for example, for Delna, like your group of hotels, it's part of a huge group of part of Tata. So they have different businesses. You see, for example, I see discussions going on. IHG might merge with another group, etc. So you see maybe some consolidations or maybe companies goes together. You, of course, your group is financially backed, of course, by a large company. If you're looking at, for example, the landscape, you think the landscape of, for example, of brands or maybe of consolidation, you think there will be some changes there?
Absolutely, Michael. I think I echo what everyone else was also saying just now in terms of the hygiene standards. Of course, all big brands today have always, practiced maintain the highest levels of hygiene and sanitization. And I think right now the requirement is just to strengthen that and maybe inform the customer of what you're doing so that you can build that confidence in them again. So again, I think it all boils back down to confidence and trust of a customer in the brand that they're using, and that holds true for any brand, not just hospitality today, for every single brand. So with that in mind, actually we launched our Tajness, which is our commitment re-strengthened. So as someone was also mentioning earlier, we don't want, while everything may be safe and sanitized, and that's of course what people are looking for, at the end of the day, we are a hospitality brand. We are a luxury hospitality brand, and we don't want to lose that sense of warmth that someone gets when they walk into a hotel. To answer your question, Michael, in terms of yes, will the industry change? I definitely think that yes, there are a lot of different opportunities today actually that are coming up. I think every adversity, does lead to certain opportunities in people. And I think it's the manner in which we all adapt to that change that's going to define just how successful a company is. So for instance, just to give you an example, during this lockdown period as well, we adapted our F&B model completely. Because people could not go out until now, we actually started our hospitality at home, whereby we were actually personalizing items and making them available to our guests to offer greater convenience. We've just launched Human, which is our new food delivery app, which is exclusively for us. And since you mentioned the House of Tatas, yes, we are working extremely closely with a lot of our sister companies as well, whether they be TCS from an IT perspective or Taj Sats, which is our air catering service. For instance, we tied up with our air catering during the lockdown to provide meals. We provided about 2.5 million meals across certain cities of India, including Bombay, Delhi as well. So yes, there are definitely a lot of opportunities to build on each other's strengths and, make sure that we try and stay stronger together and try and come out of this much stronger together. Yes, it is an uphill journey for all of us, I think.
Well, I think the impact is for every hotel group, all the single hotels. It's of course, it's the impact is huge. You see, I think personally, I think the smaller hotel, really small group or the single or family hotels, they're really difficult because they don't have large resources. We think there will be, for example, more single-owned hotels or small chain hotels will be moving maybe to a brand or might be even acquired or just choosing to become brands. In fact, what do you think about this?
I think I think there are pros and cons to both. Obviously, I think as today, because people are looking for a bit of more secluded privacy, looking for their own private haven somewhere. Yes, they would definitely consider smaller options as well. However, I think that, as you rightly mentioned, for some of these smaller, maybe standalone unit to be part of a larger brand, I think just gives customers a lot more confidence in booking that particular property. So I know I keep saying the same thing, but I think a lot of it is built on trust. When you trust the brand or you trust the person that you're booking with, I think that makes everyone's life a lot easier.
Okay. Vivek, I see you just agreeing with this. Can you comment on this?
Yeah, I think Michael, it's a very important point at this stage, and I'd come back to that mention I made of standards, and that helps to engender trust, right? That helps to build trust and credibility. And what our guests are asking of us now is a new standard of hygiene and safety and security in all our hotels. It's really the base level that they now expect, which perhaps they didn't a few months ago. Again, to have an experience, and that's really the crux of what all of us offer. To have an experience requires our customer or our guest to be in the state of mind to receive it. It's about creating memories, about those moments that matter. So the fact of life for us is that our standards now need to be different, and I think all of the groups are doing this. It's not really that different. At the end of the day, I don't I can really comment on which way the market will decide, because that's really based on things getting a little bit back to, I won't say normal, but back into action. And we really, I don't think any of us, or even many of our national leaders at this point, still trying to evaluate and decide which way the wind is going to blow. But yes, it's definitely important for us to look back at our core values, to look back at what matters to us. And for Shangri-La, we've really focused on a program called Shangri-La Cares, which is about reassuring our customers of that commitment that we have to their well-being. So we're really recognizing that their safety and their well-being is in our care, and taking steps to do that. One important element of this is partnership. So it's really having the right partners and the right organizations that can support you through this journey. So for the Shangri-La Cares initiative, for example, we partner with Diversey, who is a long-standing, it's a long-standing relationship that we have as companies. It's really helped us to be able to be ready when we need to be in the markets that we are present. I hope that helps to clarify, Michael.
Perfect. I get another question from the audience, actually. Well, Alexander mentioned already AI. Yes, I think not going to replace serving your breakfast, etc. Well, you think AI will dominate? This is the question actually from the audience. Do you think AI could more dominate the hospitality sector with, for example, more digitalizations or digital transformation?
Let's put the AI, of course, in perspective. Yeah, so AI is utilized already now in online portals where automatically people are tracked and traced to retarget them on Google, etc. So that's one side of the AI. Yeah. Now the AI, where most probably the person is had the question for, like in the movies where robots take over. That's a little early. I must say we do have in Singapore a robot who serves eggs, but has nothing to do with COVID. That was 2 years ago already. Yeah. So, but the AI is pushed forward, but purely from a commercial point of view, in order to track, trace, and capture any guests possible on the back end of all the systems, right? And I'm sure, Michael, that's the next step for you as well. So yeah, on that aspect, it's increasing, but this has not much to do with COVID. It will just accelerate in terms of pacing.
Of course, you can always use AI for different things. If you know when people are checking out early, or you basically just get your learnings, you could just clean quicker. There's more space between the new guests, etc. So there's a lot of learnings.
Correct.
We have not much time left. I think we have a bit more than 2 minutes left. So would be great.
Michael,
Yeah.
just to add on to what Alexandra was also saying about, obviously technology will play a much more important role now. But I don't think that it can ever replace the human touch, especially in the luxury industry. I mean, there's a fine balance that we need to strike between both, and I think that will come depending on the kind of brand it is. But technology can't completely replace human touch, especially in the luxury industry.
I fully agree. It's the experience, right? If you go to a luxury place, it's the full experience. So this is what I think what you're all selling is like, you go to a place, you won't have this personal touch, and will never be replaced indeed with technology. Even though technology can improve a lot, but also can't replace everything. We have a bit more than 1 minute left, so I think a lot of people watching now, if all of you can really short and start at Vivek, then Delna, then Akasha, and then Alexander. If you can do really like in a few seconds, just give your advice, what the listeners, the viewers should do during this pandemic, and how they can come out stronger.
Sure, thank you, Michael. And I touched on this a little bit earlier as well, that we are facing the ultimate disruptor, and it's challenged our businesses, it's challenged our families, it's challenged our lives at the personal level as well. So it won't be fair for me to try and suggest a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone, but I can only share what I'm facing and what I'm going through as an individual. And it's a great opportunity to look inward and reflect, because the pace of our lives has often meant that we just haven't had the chance perhaps to meditate, to take that extra walk, to be able to focus on what really matters to you. And if that focus directs you towards your business, it directs you towards your personal abilities, your talents, it directs you to your career, all the better for it, because we don't really know what's on the other end of that tunnel at this point in time. But I'd really personally hate to see this time go to waste. I think There's a lovely saying that we should never let a good crisis go to waste. That would be about the gist of my advice at this point in time. Thanks, Michael.
Okay. Yeah, we indeed running out, so I was maybe Akasha can still respond on this, and then I will end soon after.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. So for everyone, I would say that who's feeling cooped up, get out with your family, spend the quality time together, go to offbeat locations, and just travel. I think for the fear of this pandemic should not stop traveling. Go ahead, travel, find the right spaces, and just be yourself, be with nature. That's all I want to say, Michael. Thanks.
Thank you all. Unfortunately, I would like to ask the same to the rest, but we are unfortunately running out of time. I would like to thank you all for being part of this webinar, of this panel. It was great to get your input. I learned a lot again, so I hope the listeners as well. And for the listeners who just also from the rest of the program, wish you a great day. And most important for all of you, stay safe and start travel.
I wear a mask.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.